getting hit with a lot of really high frequency energy today, but it's very, very uplifting. Big things are happening. There's a lot of scary things happening in the world as well, but overall this is creating a huge wave of positive transformation, and I feel that very, very strongly. It is leading us to more freedom within our humanity again, our human rights. We're getting so much back that we didn't even realize was taken from us collectively. So this is very much a collective reading. There are still forces trying to stop this. However, be a part of something bigger than themselves. That's what we all fucking live for, but we forget sometimes. And now we're remembering who we are together, and it is honestly a beautiful thing to see. It feels amazing. Even though there are scary things going on out in the world, pay attention to this positive change. Be in that energy as much as you can. Feel it as much as you can. Allow it to elevate your spirit. Allow it to elevate your mind, body, and soul. Spirit's saying don't pay attention to the details as much right now, because that's in reverse. Pay attention to the details in the reverse. Why? Devil's in the details. Don't get caught up there. Don't get caught up in fear. Don't get caught up in fear. Gotta stay in the love. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a process, right? It's a process, step by step. All we need to know is the next step ahead of us. We don't need to know anything beyond that right now. We're all taking a big leap of faith and trust falling into the universe, and the universe will catch us and help us transform into something that serves us all today, because that's really all these societal changes are. That's why rebels kind of rise up. It's not necessarily just for rebellion's sake, right? It is because the times require change, and it's uncomfortable for everyone because we're already comfortable, but the rebels rise up because we notice, hey, this may be comfortable, but it's not actually serving us anymore, right? So that's the point of it. It's, again, not necessarily for rebellion's sake, but when we use that rebellious energy responsibly and we use it wisely, which is tricky, it's a tough thing to do, but when we do, amazing things can happen. Really, like, impossible seeming things can happen. Miracles can happen. So I'm going to take this card, actually. So that's where we are right now collectively, but it is something, again, that takes time, because anything in this physical reality is going to be a process, because we are in the realm of time, in the dimension of time and space, and so everything has to happen on a timeline. Whereas like other dimensions, like fourth and beyond, for example, time is still present, but it operates differently. It's a bit more fluid. And then there's dimensions where time isn't necessarily a factor at all. Welcome in, you guys. How are you doing today? Also, so if you're feeling low right now, or if you're feeling exhausted, that's because you need to rest, because we're all going through this massive change, and that's literally just your body telling you you need to rest. If you're going through depression even, rest it off, breathe through it, feel whatever you need to feel, even if that's numb, but just be with it, be with it, allow yourself to be nothing. Sometimes just letting go into that is exactly what you need, and then you sink into that for a little while, and next thing you know, you're going to be hit with that same inspiration that I'm talking about, because it's in the collective energy. I'm telling you guys, because everything is happening the way it is right now, scary as it is, there's a victory on its way. And this is Saint Germain, this is the violet flame. This is a flame of transmutation. It is going to help heal us so that we can liberate. That doesn't mean we're not still going to have challenges after this, but the next challenge will be, after we kind of tackle this final boss energy, right, is to essentially rebuild. That would be our next task, and that is going to be a big challenge. And then, of course, we'll go through a cycle of just getting to enjoy that as well, right? A kind of golden age again. And then it's like life is cyclical. So we go ups and downs, ups and downs. Right now we're at a very low point, but we're gonna be starting to head back up. But that's why this collective change is so necessary right now, so that we can start working our way back uphill. And that's the climb, right? That's the hard part. But then there's gonna be a point where we can enjoy until we and we feel like we're enjoying all the way down. And then once we get towards the bottom, like, it gets scarier and scarier, but then we're always gonna rise back up, because that's what humans do. It's just how we do. And this is very divinely guided. It is meant to happen. There are definitely certain individuals who feel called to speak out more this time, to step into leadership roles, things like that. So you'll notice that, and you want to stick with the ones that are true. And how do you know which ones are true? Well, be more true to you, and the more true to you can be, the more you'll be able to see truth in others. Understand? You have a background in psychology, or have you learned through? Yeah, mostly just through like experience and my own studies. I don't have any degrees, actually. I'm more like autodidactic, but I did and sociology when I was in high school, and I don't know, I've always been intrigued by people in general, and I'm neurodivergent, so it was always kind of tough for me to connect. So I've always been kind of like observing and exploring, like, okay, how can I connect better? So it's kind of my process of being able to develop like speech better, because I didn't really talk much when I was younger. It was very hard for me to connect to words. I connect to like physical things better. But yeah, I had to learn through people, just observing the fuck out of people and trying to understand social dynamics and my own inner workings as well. I spent a lot of time in my own inner world, just trying to understand. So that's where my experience comes from. So it's not going to be anything textbook, and take it with a grain of salt. Okay, this is just my experience with it. I think perspective is important. We all only have perspective from our lived experiences. So, but personally, I found that, learning something in books, like reading other people's stories, things like that, personally, to me, it doesn't really hold a candle to your own personal experience. Like, actually going through something, you will understand it with so much more nuance. Because there's a lot of complexity to being human. And when I was reading in books, I would have this very conceptual understanding of it. Whereas if I were to move through an experience and go inward and actually really sit with that and understand what that was telling me, that's where I really developed like depth of understanding. That is important, I think. So yeah, even if, I'm not saying learning from books is wrong. It's a great way to start. So obviously there's so many people who have explored in depth, and that's where it came from. But I do think it needs to be paired with personal experience as well. But I don't have any degrees or anything like that. So this is just my perspective on things. Take it how you will, or don't take it at all. It's up to you. Alright, so yeah, sacred quest. This is divinely guided this time. The big changes that we're going through now, it is just a cyclical thing that all humans have gone through in history, and you see it, and hopefully history isn't repeating itself entirely, and we're learning our lessons and breaking our cycles over time, but we'll always have more lessons to learn and more things to refine. I can definitely over-intellectualize too. It took me a while to like feel very comfortable in my heart space. Like when I was younger, I still felt my feelings. I just didn't really take the time to like, I don't know, maybe it wasn't that I took the time. It took me a lot longer to understand my emotional states. I was more comfortable in my, I don't know if I even want to say that, because I didn't even like, I felt really stupid actually when I was younger, and so I learned like crazy to compensate for that. I never felt very smart at all, actually. I felt like empty, like I didn't have much to offer. So yeah, I went and studied like crazy, but it wasn't until like I would always kind of sit and reflect and feel my stuff, but it wasn't the same as like after I went through some really tough traumatic events, where I was abused. That kind of set me on a journey to exploring deeper into psychology, because I wanted to protect myself from being manipulated again, so that I wouldn't keep falling into like the same kind of relationship cycles. So that sent me a lot deeper into intellectualizing it, and then I kind of got a little caught up in that a bit, that like conceptual understanding, because I hadn't gone deep enough yet. So working through that process, breaking that barrier, I think it was easier for me to process my emotions when I was younger to some regard, and I had a bit more structure in my life then too. And then once I went through certain things, it makes it really hard to feel that pain. You know, it's confusing because it's really complex. Hey, welcome in. But yeah, I think everyone's got very unique perspectives. I wish more people would take the time to explore these things so that we can all have better understanding. I'm curious what some of your perspectives are on some of these ideas, because even if it's very like intellectualized, I mean, you still are a human being and you have your own depth of understanding, you have your own emotional experiences that you've been through, right? A lot of people have a tough time exploring the shadows, because it's dark and it seems scary, but when we shine our light there, I think we find that it's not actually as scary as we think. It's the fear can create all sorts of illusions, and then once the heart kind of speaks its truth, we can soften and realize it wasn't so bad, probably. Maybe not always the case for everyone. I don't know what everyone's experiences are, but we all have that. And right now we're working through collective shadows, but we are seeing the light of day peeking through. So this is opening up for us. Very much opening up for us. Because we got universal laws coming in. That's a big card. That's a big energy. Especially with this Saint Germain card with victory, overcoming shadows collectively. And we have the universal laws kicking in. So I have heard of it before. One of my exes, I think, read something to me about it before, but I have never really used it. Tell me about it. But we got universal laws, where I think this is speaking to me of structural change right now, and even in our like human laws that we've created to create more safety and security for ourselves within our communities, right? That's what all that stuff is for. These things can be shifting, and when structures shift, that's uncomfortable. But the shadows being revealed are showing the necessity of these structural changes to support. Sorry. Alright, so we're basically changing structure to be able to better support what we all need collectively today, which is why it's so important to actively listen to each other and also to express ourselves responsibly, which is a tough thing because times are hot right now, but we do need to get the feelings out, even if it's like anger and really tough emotions. Hopefully we can feel them more in private so we're not taking them out on each other, but sometimes that is not always possible. So we have to do our best, and we're probably gonna make hella mistakes all along the way. All we can do is when that happens, we gotta pull back, sit in time out, reflect a little bit, and try to do better next time, right? Thank you. I appreciate you. It's different, but it's really cool for understanding your interpretation and how I interpret it. Okay, that's cool. I'll have to look into it then. Oh, thank you. Well, enjoy your dinner. I'll catch you later. Alright, yeah, so expressing ourselves and also actively listening to each other, because we're all coming from different places, right? And we only know our own experiences. So, and just because we're ignorant in something, or maybe are curious about something and maybe don't always say it the best, or explain in full detail in one moment, maybe we say something in a sentence and someone takes it a wrong way because they're coming from a different perspective and they have their own pain points, right? We can get really upset at each other in those moments, or we can take the time to understand that we're just coming from different experiences, and sometimes we gotta teach each other. So sometimes we gotta go a little bit deeper into our personal experiences and share. And I think that's something that we've been suppressed in doing. It's made to be not okay to feel certain things or to share certain things, and this has been shifting over time, but it's been a very slow, painful process. And it is something that we need because it is what makes us human. Our stories are important. It's all that we have. It's what makes us who we are. It's not all that we are. We can always become more than our stories as well. Your story doesn't have to define you, but it is still where you came from, and it does still make you who you are. And you can choose what to do with the experiences that you've had. But right now is a time where we need to come together, which means that sometimes we need to educate each other, right? Even through the frustration of each other's ignorance, because we simply don't have the same experiences. And that's not anything wrong. It's just we have different experiences. We're all living different lives, which is even more important for us to come together so that we can have better understanding rather than battling against each other all the time. That's not effective. It doesn't help anybody. It just creates more tension and all this nonsense that we're dealing with now. Thank you. I appreciate you. So that's kind of where we're at now. It's really important for us to make these connections, even through our frustrations and our angers. And the tendency, it's kind of built into society right now, the tendency, because there are all these difficult feelings that we haven't been allowed to feel because it's wrong or not respectable or whatever, but it's just fucking human. Like, we need to make these connections, and it's okay to be upset with each other. You know, it's okay to feel your feelings. It's okay to explain yourself. If anyone tells you you're not allowed to fucking explain yourself because it makes you guilty or this or that or the other thing, or they're gonna misunderstand your story and use it against you. No, if you know yourself very well, no one can use anything against you. They can try, they can try. I mean, there are certain things, of course, people can use against you, but like, if you've actually done something, but like, you just sharing your experience and you having to go through life as a human being, like, it's a struggle for all of us, honestly, and it is what it is. But like, we have to be able to share our stories. We have to be able to share our experiences so that we can actually grow from them. If we're not taking the time to look at them, we're just suppressing everything, then we're never gonna heal together. Understand? We're never gonna be able to come together. So it's important for us to all be working with ourselves and each other, checking ourselves and each other. Not necessarily jumping on board just because there's group energy, but actually taking the time to look at things, look for information. Information is healing. Information and understanding is very helpful so that we can overcome shadows, right? And this is something that we all experience collectively and individually as well. And this shadow card is number 3, so further enforcing that idea that, because 3s are about collaboration, it's a coming together. We need to come together to work through these things. And then I've got a 29 for this victory, which is an 11. That's a master number and new beginnings. And then 13, which reduces to a 4. And that's all about stability. It's restabilizing. That's 4 is a number of structure, restabilizing, restructuring, so that we can elevate all together. So right now we're like this little pyramid. We're like limiting ourselves, but we could be over here reaching much higher towards our divinity if we allow ourselves that expansion through overcoming these shadows. And we're gonna need a hell of a lot of forgiveness for ourselves and each other, again, through all the frustration, through all of our ignorance and everything like that, and not holding each other to things we've said in the past that maybe came from ignorance or deep misunderstanding or whatever, and rather educating each other. So practicing emotional detachment, allowing more space within ourselves, we can allow these intense emotions to flow through without clinging to them and acting from them, right? When we have more space within ourselves, so clearing out our emotions and things like that, getting that release clears more space so you can hold more complexity, and that allows you to be even more human and allows others to be more human around you. So everyone will feel safer around you, because you are safe. You are someone who can hold space for others with love, rather than acting from your own emotional bias. Understand? Did you hear this greeting from the Netherlands? Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm glad you stopped by today. So forgiveness for each other for our ignorance, because we don't always understand each other, and we have been pitted against each other a lot. We still are to this day, but we don't need to play that game anymore. So emotionally detached from the drama, the nonsense, and come back to reality, come back to what's real, what's true, and that's connecting in the heart, in the spirit, bringing the spirit of life back. We're all gonna have differences, and we're all gonna have ignorances, right? We can make fun of each other for it and be assholes and whatever, and we're all guilty of that, right? And we can all hold each other to things we have said out of anger, or we can allow ourselves and each other to grow through these experiences by educating each other. Like, hey, and apologies too, like, hey, I'm sorry I said this. I really didn't understand that, but now I see it this way, you know? That's growth, and we should allow growth. That's a beautiful thing, right? And then someone gets upset at you because you said something, for example, but and maybe they express that to you, that it made them upset, but you say, hey, oh, I didn't mean it like that at all. I am so sorry that made you feel that way. This is how I actually meant that, you know, to be able to explain yourself and your perspective. And this, like, for autistic people especially, because you say things in a way that can rub people the wrong way on accident. But if you actually go in depth, which most people don't want to hear autistic rants, but if you take the time to listen to an autistic rant, you will have a very different perspective off of the more condensed sentence that they originally put out. And a lot of the time, you put out just like a sentence or something, you just blurt something out like that, it can, yeah, anyone, like whether you're neurodivergent or not, like anyone can take that wrong, but obviously there's a lot more to it than that, because you're more complex than that. It's just sometimes we say things more simply and condensed because that's what the moment calls for, and then sometimes we have the opportunity to go more in depth into that and allow for the nuance to arise so that we can understand each other better. I think that's really important, and that is something that we often miss in connection, and why it's so hard to connect to each other. But if we can figure out how to do that, then we come into hella abundance together. That's collective abundance. So from overcoming these things, so we don't have to be fighting and playing these games, you know? We don't have to be holding each other to everything, every mistake, every like wrong thing we've said out of ignorance, for example, in the past. We can allow ourselves to grow. We reach our abundance through that, through connection, That's how you get to this paradise energy, to reaching joy, and it's through connecting with each other. Which is, it feels tough in these times, but we need to, because we need structures that serve us all. And how do we know what serves us all if we're all divided and fighting against each other, not taking in each other's perspectives, like to a point where we can actually understand them, you know? So this is that collective ascension. This is basically a psychological upgrade. So our fourth dimensional body is being upgraded so that it's like clearing out a lot of illusions and pain and things, so that we can elevate and land ourselves in this fifth dimensional state where that's our baseline, and that's a place of unconditional love. And that is where liberation begins. And just because we're liberated, again, that doesn't mean that we won't still have our challenges, because as humans, or any species really, we're meant to evolve, and that means learning and growing continuously. But there's nothing wrong with that, right? Mistakes are just a mistake, so take it again, try again, in a new way though, because if you're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, that is the literal definition of insanity. How many times have you heard that by now? I think the first time I heard that was in like high school, and I'm gonna be 34 soon. It is the truth. So keep trying things, but try it in a new way. Learn something new from each experience. That's what reflecting is for. And you don't have to sit in reflection forever, you know, but do reflect, do reflect, do reflect. It's a balance of acting and non-acting, of giving and receiving. It's reciprocity with life. Have you heard her voice? Beautiful voice of the spirit. Sinead O'Connor is a very beautiful person. Wonderful. Radical as fuck. I think she's a huge inspiration. Woo. Okay. Got a ton of swords out. But bottom deck wants reverse, so this is actually, a lot of the time the Ten of Swords talks to me about betrayal. This one speaks to me of sacrifice. This is sacrifice made to like release pressure, release tension, release steam, so things don't become explosive. There's a sacrifice made. And I mean, with swords energy and just the star energy in general, and that's being stabbed through, speaks to me of ego. A lot of things that have become very egoic, kind of centered around certain ideas, beliefs of what is like what you want to be, that it might not actually be serving you or any of us. It might be harming us more so. There's certain sacrifices that we all need to make, and part of that is like glorifying things so heavily, or idolization, things like this. And then overabundance as well, rather than just taking what we need and allowing everyone to have equally, so that no one is suffering, no one is struggling, and we're all working together in communion. That is what releases this pressure. So big sacrifices made in this time to restructure for service to humanity, but also service to life as a whole, because like we're restructuring society to fit into the rest of the ecosystem, so that our home, our earth, is also being nurtured, and we need to pay more attention to this. There's also a lot of animal energy here too. It's developing deeper relationship with other species as well, on our home planet, and possibly even beyond one day. But working even just with our own species on this planet, we have the ability to connect deeply with them all, to understand each other through spirit. We're not going to speak the same language, but we don't need to. But every species has its own language. If you really sit and observe any animals, especially in groups, they're very social creatures. They do speak to each other. They just don't speak English, or whatever languages humans speak. They speak in different ways. It's going to be more physical ways, most likely, but they do sometimes also make sounds, and that is language. So if we can learn other human languages, why wouldn't we be able to learn animal languages, right? But also, it's more than that. Even if you don't know someone else's language directly, you can still understand them in the heart and soul. Okay, this is good. I was worried a little bit. We got not really worried, but we got the Magician reverse. So I feel this is illusions revealed. Snakes in the garden revealed. Snakes also speak of transformation, though. And this is right on the abundance card. So it's what's been blocking our abundance is being revealed. Truth is coming to light about how, honestly, how magical we really are, and what's actually possible for human beings. However, we've been so suppressed that we haven't even been able to access hardly a fraction of our own capacity, our own innate intelligence. And this is what's being revealed to people now, I think. So we're going to be heading in a direction that feels a bit more spiritual in a way, even if that's just again, connecting deeper to life. It doesn't have to be going into any type of religion, but I feel like this is just remembering the spirit of life within all things in its simplest form. For a lot of people, that is going to make the most sense. But there are people out there as well who are going to take it deeper and go explore other things as well, and that's awesome. Whatever suits you, however you take in information best, that is what you should be exploring. But there is a connection to the spirit of life. So transcending the physical to understand that we are more than just this physical body. This physical body just houses our inner potential, which is going to be otherworldly. It's from other dimensions. Again, our psychological body, which is going to be our mind, our heart, our emotions, and our thoughts. And you can find, entities, spirits there as well. This and beyond, even 5th, 6th, 7th, beyond all these dimensions, you'll find within yourself. You can take the time to explore it, and you don't have to do anything crazy to get there. You can literally just sit or lay and just be, and I promise you'll go somewhere. But your body is your anchor. It keeps you in this reality, right? But it's the home, the vehicle that moves you through this plane of existence. And it is something that, because there's more within us, even when we shed our body, that energy that is our spirit, right? And you can connect this to science, especially with quantum theory. It explains this perfectly. Energy never dies, it only transforms. So when we shed our body, we are merely transformed to a spirit form, understand? And then too, why you feel so connected to certain people, or why you can still feel spirit connections even once they've transitioned, is because of quantum entanglement. The connectivity, so the relationships that we have developed, we become more and more entangled with over time. So those things really stick with us. It's like they become a part of us. And in that, we see that we are all connected, right? Some are more obviously connected than others, but we are all truly connected in that spirit, in that energy. And these bodies are just a home for that. And you can see it because you can see when that life, the spirit, leaves the body and the body is left over, right? For example, this might be triggering for some, but I had witnessed this. I was back in like I think 2018, 2019. I was living in Hollywood and I was only on the second floor. It's like 3 something in the morning. I heard this big like bang. I thought it was a gunshot or something. I wasn't sure. I don't know, but I went outside and I looked off my balcony and there's this older woman and her body was just completely broken. Like I heard she like jumped or fell off the 10th or 11th floor. And I don't know, I felt her spirit actually for like a good week or 2 after that. It was really dense and heavy, but to see the body, that's something that is burned into my memory. To see it without life, it kind of just becomes like a suit, that we wear. Man, I think I'm still processing that one. But when you see life in a body, right? Like me speaking to you right now. Well, I'm glad I'm not in the room with you, Warhorse. I am so glad. So we did need that comedic relief though, thank you. Damn. You got me, man, you got me. So when we see life in a body, that is the spirit, right? In its most simple form. That is going to be the spirit. But we can also see life leaves the body. Also, when I had to put my cat Luna down because her entire motor system shut down, she couldn't eat on her own, she couldn't even use the bathroom, she couldn't do anything anymore. I was holding her when she was being put down, and so you can literally see in the eyes. The light literally leaves, and you can feel when the spirit leaves too. Her spirit stays with me always. I know she's always with me. I still miss her and miss having her here physically, but that's what religion and spirituality are really trying to explain, though, I think. And that's where a lot of our deeper questions lie, I think, to simplify it as much as possible, especially for people who don't believe in God or whatever. It doesn't necessarily have to be something like that or anything personified. It's the spirit within, like the thing that animates all things, the thing that makes life life. That's what we're talking about. So we can get out of our heads and the fears of exploring that, because it doesn't have to be about angels and demons. If that makes sense for you, it makes sense for you. But if that's not in your experience, it's not in your experience. It depends on what you're willing to explore, but there's no need to fear it. There is spirit of life, that moves all these things. When we can get out of that fear so that we can allow ourselves to explore in the ways that we need to on a personal level, then we get a lot farther in understanding ourselves and each other, and not just human to human, but all species in life. And then, what was it? It was the Wheel of Fortune. I saw. Where'd you go? I was peeking through. Dang. Well, the Wheel of Fortune is in the upright anyhow, but the only way we can get to our paradise is to release that, to kind of surrender what we think we know, and this is for all of us, and allow truth to arise. Allow whatever needs to be seen to arise, right? And from there we transform. That's how we transcend. With that Wheel of Fortune in reverse, again, this is very positive change for us collectively. I know this one's been a little long, but it's okay. I feel like it's a really big, important message. So we're allowing for really positive change right now and releasing our ego, surrendering the ego, sacrificing the things that we cling to that keep us comfortable but stuck in place, right? Breaking our cycles unblocks us, releasing emotions, getting relief, clearing space, unblocks us from being able to actually truly connect to one another. And there's actually, from this, you got the Sun in reverse, Page of Pentacles reverse. So this would be like traversing the shadow dimensions within to understand. So again, letting go of what we know, what we think we know, to allow something new to arise from the dark. So shining our light, and it's usually not what we think. Usually not what we think. So sometimes the stories we tell ourselves are just what we, it's either going to be a fear, it's going to be maybe something we were taught, or some, and it got trapped within us, or it's going to be something that maybe we thought something was a certain way and it wasn't. Sometimes, memory can be accurate, but oftentimes it's not. And it's because you're coming from a limited perspective at the time, and over time you grow in perspectives. And so when you look back on things, you're gonna see it in a different way and notice different things and understand things differently. If you get caught up in fear a lot, know that you're probably gonna be a hell of a lot farther off from the truth than if you are relaxed and surrendering whatever is going on up here and softening into it. It's one of the hardest things to do for a lot of people, but if you can find a way to manage that, then you'll get a lot further in freeing yourself. Hey, what's up? This is really beautiful energy. I'm excited to see what's to come, to see how we can restructure things together and how we can kind of combine. I feel like we need to reconnect with our roots, but also combine that with the innovation of today. And I want to see too how much more we can innovate when we're allowing ourselves to do that soul searching, to explore deeply within ourselves, to embody all that we can be in our fullest potential individually. And when we come together and share that, imagine the evolutionary leaps that we can take. That's what I've been dreaming of. That's what I think of constantly. That's the thing that drives me, is I would love to see a world where I can witness that. Personally, I am an observer type. I love to just observe. I sit back, observe, and think about things a lot. And that's how I like to experience life. I just like to witness it. I have my own experiences, of course, too, but I don't know, I like to personally witness and analyze. That's what feels good to me. And we all experience the world in different ways and for different reasons. And that's important because we all have our place here. Okay, we got sulfur. So there's this stench arising in the darkness, right? What's being unveiled? It's kind of corruption being unveiled right now, and all the infection that needs to come out of this world, so that we can all harmonize and stabilize. We got red, which is grounding root chakra. It's going to be very structural again, but notice how so it's firm ground, firmly rooted, but notice the circle in the center, because we are transforming into a more circular reality, which is more feminine. Not to say that everything's going to be feminized. It's going to be balanced. We're going to move in flow with our cyclical nature, rather than trying to force rigidity and then taking all these hard ass turns. We can flow with our cyclical nature, and then change and transformation becomes a lot easier. It's more balance and flow, essentially. A lot more centeredness, heart-centeredness. Actually, there's a lot of heart expansion in this time. It's where we're upgrading heavily right now, collectively. So, getting surrendering ideas for depth, for wisdom. And then ideas blossom. So we let go of ideas not because we're getting rid of them, but to develop them further through heart wisdom that creates depth of understanding. So whatever conceptual understanding you have then gets filled with actual experience, and that is important. That's important, because that's where we can kind of fill in the picture, and the more we can kind of fill in all those details, the better. So don't get caught up in the details up here, but pay attention to what comes through here, and then allow these to work together to create a fuller picture. But they do work together, and it's important that they do, rather than fighting against each other, because then you're just constantly at war with yourself. You're creating inner tension, inner resistance, and blockages for yourself. But when we allow your heart and mind to work in harmony, because they're complementary, right? Just like feminine, masculine energy, they're complementary. So we want to use our mind mostly to like analyze, reflect, things like that, but like also direct and envision, so we know the direction we're heading in. So it's keeps us aligned and focused. But our heart is what attracts, and we want to make sure we're attracting the right things. So we don't want to fill our heart with anything that is like too dense or heavy or fearful, because then we'll be attracting more situations like that instead of breaking our cycle. So to break the cycle, you have to feel, so that you can allow more lightness to come in, because anytime you release density, you're transmuting, and you feel lighter because you're literally lightening up your entire energy field when you do that. And then you have more space for more types of feelings, and you're going to get the full spectrum of human emotion, and that is a good thing, because that is divine flow, that is harmony. And again, you like, just I've said this in a past reading before, just because you're feeling dense emotions doesn't mean you're not in harmony. To allow them to flow through you, to do something with it that transcends them, that is flow, that is harmony. To block them would be creating disharmony, it's suppression. That's what creates blockages, that's what makes it hard to create freely, to express yourself freely, to innovate, you know? So the most innovative and intelligent people are the ones who explore their inner faculties and allow them all to work together. And we all have infinite potential within us. It's just going to manifest differently. And that's important. We need that difference. We need diversity to innovate. Otherwise, we're just creating the same things over and over again. And how boring is that? Ooh, my lord. Okay. This is the last one. So here's the separation. So it's kind of coming out reverse, but it's just kind of speaking to me of like separating from what we were to become what we're becoming now. But also in that process, ironically enough, it is through connecting, right? The opposite of this, that we reach that. Hello, welcome in. So we're currently feeling separate right now through our differences and not quite meeting each other. But when we find a way to meet each other and to educate each other so we can understand each other better, then we instead separate ourselves from the past unserving ways and all these like harmful, painful things that we keep within us. We finally get that release of that so that we can be free within our being. So separating from all these restrictions, these limitations that have been imposed upon us through this corruption right here. Going through a difficult situation right now. Please tell you what this next month looks like for you. Whether the situation moves toward resolution, becomes more difficult. You can email me for a reading if you would like, visio.obscura@gmail.com, and I'll put that in the description box after I'm done as well. I'm not going to do any personal readings on this. It's already getting pretty long. I'm about to close this one out, but go ahead and email me and we'll We'll work that out if you like. Alright, and then interesting, I got silver and quicksilver, which is fascinating. So kind of reinforcing what I just was speaking about. It's almost like we're polishing ourselves off right now, or like refining by sacrifice, surrendering the old to find new ways to come together. We refine each other. We polish each other. Like, hey, you can use a little buff now. There, I got you, buddy. And then things move a lot faster when we're in flow. Once in divine flow, things just move differently. Things feel better because you're not constantly like blocking yourself from whatever flow. And it's through the emotional experiences that we have the hardest time with that are, and it's honestly, it's because the divine feminine has been so suppressed and blocked, but this is what's being unblocked right now. It's freedom to be human again. And when we allow ourselves to be human, then we can learn from our mistakes, we can refine ourselves and help each other in that process as well. And we can connect even deeper and deeper and deeper with each other, understand? I am going to leave that there. Again, I am not taking any personal readings, but you can email me, visio.obscura at